Hey guys, welcome to this explainer. Today we're navigating some of the heaviest yet totally universal experiences of modern life. We're talking about everything from daily digital overload to profound life transitions like midlife crises and grief. We're digging into a wealth of research today to really figure out how to protect our well-being in an increasingly demanding world.
Here is our agenda for today. First, work, screens, and boundaries. Number 2, the power of psychological detachment. Third, demystifying the midlife crisis. And finally, processing and surviving grief.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Work, Screens, and Boundaries, Taming the Digital Overload.
Be honest with yourself for a second. How much of your day is actually, truly screen-free? The research we're looking at is pretty eye-opening. It shows that when our devices start to isolate us, the youngest in our homes actually suffer the most. Kids exposed to screens super early or spending just way too much time swiping face a much higher risk of anxiety, depression, and some pretty serious behavioral issues. It's basically a modern epidemic, right?
So how do we fix this? To combat this digital addiction, especially for the kids, the sources lay out some incredibly practical steps. Think about creating strict, non-negotiable, tech-free zones. No phones in the dining room, no tablets in the bedroom. You gotta force that natural, face-to-face human interaction. I know it's so tempting to use a phone to distract a toddler during dinner, but man, that spirals into a habit fast. We absolutely have to set the example. Yes, that literally means tossing our own phones in a drawer, getting outside, and actually reconnecting with the real world around us.
Moving right along to Section 2, the power of psychological detachment, which is honestly the backbone of work-life balance.
Now, what is psychological detachment? It's the ability to consciously and emotionally disengage from work problems during your off hours. And what's super interesting here is that this kind of true detachment is literally the ultimate antidote to chronic stress and workplace burnout. It's not just about walking out of the office doors, it's about giving your brain a complete 100% mental and emotional break from your job.
Here's the kicker. Just being physically away from your desk is totally useless if you aren't mentally present for your family. If you're sitting on the couch, but your brain is secretly drafting an email to a client, your mental battery is still draining. True detachment means you're actually present. It builds deeper bonds at home, and surprisingly, it actually boosts your productivity when you finally log back in on Monday.
So how do we actually pull this off? You've got to set up a daily transition ritual. Something simple, maybe a quick workout, a walk around the block, or just blasting your favorite playlist in the car. It signals to your brain, hey, the workday is officially done. You got to set clear communication boundaries, maybe even hard rules about not checking email after hours. Basically, create a routine that intentionally flips your switch from employee back to human being.
Okay, let's shift gears to Section 3, Demystifying the Midlife Crisis. And no, it's not just about sports cars.
Contrary to what movies want us to believe, only about 20% of adults worldwide actually experience a full-blown, turbulent midlife crisis. For the vast majority, that other 80%, it's just a transition, maybe a period of mild doubt or stress, but nothing that involves completely blowing up your life. But it is incredibly important that we know the difference between regular burnout and an actual midlife crisis. Burnout is pure exhaustion. A good vacation or a new job can usually fix it. A midlife crisis, though, that's deeply existential. It's when you're questioning the gap between who you thought you'd be and who you actually are. If you're questioning the foundation of your choices, even when life is technically going great, you're probably navigating a midlife transition. And it's fascinating how this stage hits men and women pretty differently. It's like a perfect storm of biology, shifting hormones, and societal pressure. For men, it often looks like questioning their career achievements and buckling under the pressure of being the provider. Women, on the other hand, frequently confront a huge identity shift. They might be dealing with the empty nest syndrome as kids move out, or just grappling with feeling invisible as caregiving roles change. But hey, here is the really reassuring takeaway from the research. Life satisfaction follows a U-shaped curve. It genuinely dips in middle age, but it naturally climbs right back up. So this discomfort, it's just a phase. It will pass. In fact, studies show people in their 60s often feel way more content and purposeful than they ever did in their 20s. It's not a tragedy. It's just your brain telling you you're ready for the next big chapter. Finally, we arrive at Section 4, Processing and Surviving Grief, Learning to Live with Loss.
These two renowned experts, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and David Kessler, really revolutionized how we understand the end of life and the aftermath for the folks left behind. They showed us that while grief is a totally individual experience, it can be navigated through a specific framework.
Now, we've all heard of the famous 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But listen, it is absolutely critical to understand this is not some neat linear timeline. You don't just check off denial on Monday and move to anger on Tuesday. It's a framework for processing incredibly messy emotions. You might bounce between denial and bargaining in a single afternoon, and that is completely normal.
Anger becomes a bridge over the open sea. I love that quote. Society usually tells us to fear anger, right? But in grief, it's actually this vital anchor. It gives temporary structure to the absolute nothingness of loss. At first, grief literally feels like you're lost at sea with zero connection to anything. Anger gives you something to hold on to. It's a bridge made entirely from the intensity of your love for the person you lost.
And then there's acceptance. Look, finding acceptance does not mean you're suddenly all right with the loss. Not at all. It just means you are slowly learning to live in a new norm where your loved one is missing. It's recognizing the new, permanent reality. The past can't stay intact, and we just have to gradually readjust our lives to fit this new shape. The sources make a really strong point here. Trying to immediately distract yourself from the pain is actually super harmful. You have to accept the harsh truth, and you must allow yourself to fully cry so that sorrow doesn't get trapped inside and turn into clinical depression. Crying isn't a weakness, it's a survival mechanism. You safely store those good memories, but eventually, to survive, you do have to gradually detach from the past and slowly redirect your focus. Ultimately, the healthiest way to honor the people who have passed on is to be there for the family members who are still here. You've got to bravely step forward and rewrite the next chapter of your own story. Channel all that raw emotional energy into becoming a rock for your family. Reconnect with unfinished dreams, set some new personal goals, and just make small, gradual adjustments to your daily routine. So I leave you with this. Will you let modern pressures dictate your life, or will you bravely rewrite your own story? Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.